Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
All right, well, let's call the meeting on. I'll cross that 6 o'clock, right? I'll cross the drive with the towel.
Oh, there it
Oh,
goes. There's
is
the
that
bell.
Okay.
Hope to get back again next week out there. No.
Notification, no objection. Done? I'd like to call the council meeting to order, and at this time, I'd ask Councilman Bob Jackson if he'd have the invocation and pledge allegiance to the flag for us.
Dear Lord, thank you for the people that are participating in this meeting. And please guide us to make good decisions for them and the other citizens of the community. Please protect all those that protect us, both here at home and abroad. Risk their lives so that we're safe. Find us and keep us at peace. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't want to see this thing that.
Okay, this time we have proclamation and recognition.
All right, Mr. Mayor, if you could join us down here. Whereas the town of Somerville's mayor and council recognize that the field of parks and recreation is a diverse and comprehensive system that improves personal, social, environmental, and economic health. And whereas the town of Somerville recognizes the importance and benefits of parks and recreation services that enrich the lives of its community members and help make this community a desirable place to live, work, play, and visit. And whereas the town of Somerville supports the skilled work of parks and recreation professionals to strengthen community cohesion and resiliency, connect people with nature and each other, and provide and promote opportunities for healthy living, equity, and environmental sustainability. And whereas the town of Somerville values the essential services that our parks and recreation professionals perform to provide recreational and developmental enrichment for our youth, adults, and older population, and to ensure our parks and recreational spaces are clean, safe, inclusive, welcoming, and ready to use. Now therefore does Ricky Waring, as mayor of the town of Somerville, hereby proclaim July 15th, 2022 as Parks and Recreation Professionals Day, and extends his appreciation to all parks and recreation professionals for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the community that they represent.
But I don't need one, I don't think. I'd like to congratulate our Parks and Recreation Department, mainly because in my last almost 3 years as mayor, Doyle was leaving and Amy was coming on. I don't know who I could say I've enjoyed working with Amy, watching her grow our Parks and Recreation. Her all the time. We had the money, we could give it to her. She would, not that we don't already have the best parks and recreation department in the state, but we have the best in the country. because she works daily, building hours, and I'm retired of our Parks and Recreation Department, as I can be. We got one on Wall Street, we just celebrated. I see Larry Davidson sitting in the back of the room, we nine had a privilege of going up next to across the street. In fact, I had a lot of supervisors from the built that thing years ago. We out with the school and built that thing. I we waited, ran soft a few times. Ran me off on the ride because I was whoa. The public told me, reminded me again of the most trouble he ever got in his life, running around with breaking parents. That's probably true. So Robert can continue saying that because I can pass that on and say the most trouble I ever got into was running around with Terry Casey. If he was doing the latest me. He was right next door. Maybe you and your crew have done an excellent job with a limited amount of money. And if we have tried to improve as much as we can. Bob Jackson has seen that, I can tell you that. It's like that's a part down in the actual river that I think because he could work so hard to keep that thing going. Now we have that, Bob, by the way.
He's the one that knows most. You want to talk to the guy in charge or the woman that knows?
Anyway, probably this fly right here, because I see him most every day. Right here, down all these grounds. People looking sharp, but really, you know, it's a costly thing because the average citizen doesn't want to see, they want to see us spend money on parks and programs, but they just think that happens. And it's a real tough thing for us to get past sometimes in council. Spend money on parks and programs. Congratulations to y'all. Congratulations to this week. Thank you all very much. Thank you, sir. Okay. Approval of minutes of previous meetings.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the previous meetings, A and B.
I'll second.
Okay, motion that we approve minutes A and B. The council meetings. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Ayes carried.
Next, we have the public hearing regarding an ordinance approving a proposed Fifth Amendment to the Nexton Development Agreement by and between Nash Nexton Holdings LLC and the town of Somerville for that certain property known as Nexton located along Highway 17A North Main Street in the town of Somerville, South Carolina. Amendments include additional acreage, amended PUD, and amended exhibits.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the amendment that goes along with the amended PUD and annexation for the additional 20.833 acres being annexed into Nexton. And so because we're amending the PUD, we do also have to amend the development agreement to include that acreage as well. So this is simply including that acreage, the amended PUD, and then also the amended exhibits that go along with that. If you have any further questions, Brent is also here and he can answer any additional questions if you have any.
All right, any questions for the public hearing? If not, I'll close this public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I do not have anybody signed up for public comment for items on the July 14th agenda.
No comments. this time.
Right. Petition by Nash Nexton Holdings LLC to annex Berkeley County TMS numbers 221-07-05-132 and 133, lots 31A and 31C for a total of 20.833 acres located along Brighton Park Boulevard, currently zoned PDMU Planned Development Mixed Use in Berkeley County and will be zoned PUD Planned Development District upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. And the existing Nexton PUD shall be amended to include this acreage and the additional land use intensities. This would be in Council District 2. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on June 20th, 2022. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at their meeting on July 11th, 2022.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve this petition.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve this petition. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, ayes carried.
Petition by Carol S. Brown and Blackard Cross Creek LLC to annex TMS number 16104030002, 6.18 acres located on Cross Creek Drive, currently zoned R4 multifamily residential in county, and will be zoned UCMX urban corridor mixed use upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This would be in Council District 6. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on June 20th, 2022. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at their meeting on July 11th, 2022.
I hear a motion that we move forward on this petition.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion that we approve the annexation request.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to rezone TMS numbers 13612040106, 911D Central Avenue, owned by Gary A. Sharpie, and 13612040108, 911B and C Central Avenue, owned by Leonard and Sylvia Holmes, two parcels totaling approximately 0.936 acres from GR5 General Residential, which is 5 units per acre, to NB Neighborhood Business, and this is in Council District 1.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the second and final reading of this ordinance to bring this property.
I'll second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, ayes carried.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 3, Section 3.3, Table of Permitted Uses, and Section 3.4.3, Lodging.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve second and final reading.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, ayes carried. C,
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 3, Section 3.5.2, Uses customarily accessory to residential dwellings.
I'll make a motion. We approve second reading.
Second.
motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Second, excuse me. Likewise. If not, ayes carried.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to sell real property of the town of Somerville, South Carolina, known as 118 West Richardson Avenue, Somerville, South Carolina, 29483.
Mr. Mayor, I move we give second and final reading for the sale of 118 West Richardson Avenue for a sum of not less than 1.1 million with a closing date of not later than 9/21/22 and a due diligence period to expire no later than 8/22/22. And that the town administrator be authorized to amend the contract of sale to reflect the foregoing.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion carried.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 22, Water Management, Flood Damage Prevention, and Stormwater Management, Section 22-124, Stormwater Control, Item F, Minimum Runoff Control Requirements, subsection 2D.
I'll make a motion. We approve second and final reading.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye. Opposed likewise, so ayes carried. Introduction of bills and resolutions.
First reading of an ordinance approving a proposed Fifth Amendment to the Nexton Development Agreement by and between Nash Nexton Holdings LLC and the town of Somerville for that certain property known as Nexton, located along Highway 17A North Main Street in the town of Somerville, South Carolina. Amendments include additional acreage, amended PUD, and amended exhibits.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move first reading of the ordinance. I'll second.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of this, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Resolution to amend Town of Somerville organizational chart to reflect the removal of the positions of GIS Coordinator, Economic Development Manager, and Administrative Executive Assistant effective July 25th, 2022.
I'll make a motion. We approve the change to the organizational chart. I'll second.
Okay, motion on the floor to accept this for the second. All in favor, any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I know we have amended the organizational chart at an earlier meeting for a couple of other employees who left. I'm not sure why we're doing this, a couple of reasons. One, two of the people don't report to council. So I would consider that to be the work of the administrator. And I think the administrator has let us know that she is working on the entire organizational chart to come back to us at our mid-year retreat to discuss potential changes. And I think this falls under her purview, so I don't know why we would be doing that. The other position, the development coordinator, economic development manager position was, as well as I remember, prior to me being here, was a council-driven job that council approved that putting in that position. That at least that's my recollection. And while I'm not for or against whether we keep it there, I just think council has not had a chance to discuss whether we should or should not keep that particular position on the organizational chart. So that's why I'm not in favor of doing either one of these.
Mr. Mayor, if I will, the Madam Administrator has informed all of us of her intention not to fill any of these positions at the current time. I've discussed with a number of people on council the economic development position. I don't think that removing these from the organizational chart, since the positions are not being filled, means that we're not going to do geographic information systems, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to do economic development. I think the plan is to contract out for GIS as we had prior to hiring a full-time GIS coordinator. To give a little bit of background on the economic development manager position, that was not council driven. That was driven by our former administrator, Captain Martin. And I've discussed this particular position with a number of you. I don't think there's any question that that council, whether it's at a mid-year retreat or some other place or time, that council needs to try to reach some sort of consensus about how we want to go about economic development, doing economic development work. I don't think council ever did reach that consensus prior to this. As I said, it was Captain Martin that really pushed for this position. Councilman Bailey was dead set against it. The compromise was to get 4 votes to approve the position, was to have the position spend half their time on annexation. And it was a split between economic development work and annexation work. And I mean, I think if our person that held this position previously until very recently we're here today, he would tell us that it didn't turn out that way. So I don't think that council's ever really reached a consensus. The one thing that did happen after Mr. Lyle was hired at some point, it did become a department head position. So the filling of that position going forward would have to be approved by council. When Mr. Lyle was hired, it was not a department manager, department head position, and council had no input on it. So we're not filling these positions, which they shouldn't be on they shouldn't be on the organizational chart. When we want to fill one of these positions, it takes 1 vote, 48 hours notice to put it on the organizational chart wherever we as a council want to put it.
What do we do in the meantime if we need, looking at these positions, like the GIS personnel, I'm not opposed to putting on the chart, but if our engineer, for example, needs a drawing where he's working on a project for us, and he needs a drawing, what does he do? Do we wait on him to come before council, and then, we give him approval to get this person to do this drawing? Or can he go ahead and get it done?
He can absolutely do anything he wants to do within his budget. But as far as creating a position, this position didn't report to the engineer. But each of our division heads, division directors, department heads have budgets to spend. But Madam Administrator sent us an email and said that she's investigating going back to contracting. We always contracted for geographic information systems prior to this.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that, sir, but it's not a budget item anymore. It's a department. The GIS department.
It's one person.
One person, but it's still a department that's budgeted. And that's gonna go away. When we do this, that'll be gone. So the people that use that department, like the fire department, for instance, they use that department. So now they're not gonna have that department. How do they go about getting the drawings done that they need, or the mapping, or the engineering, which uses that department? What do they do now? Am I right, Lisa? I mean.
No, actually you're
help
not.
me here.
Well,
I mean,
Mr. Mayor,
you're real strict on this kind of stuff when people overspend, about bidding and all that kind of stuff. We don't want to, I don't want to see us overspend and then somebody overspend and then get hammered for overspending when we don't even have a GIS department anymore. So they got to go somewhere. So
Mr. Mayor, I will tell you that the intent is, and staff has already met on this once. We're planning to meet on it again. And right now, we're just trying to determine what the needs are. What are the gaps that we need to fill in? So we're going to be doing that over the next couple of weeks. We've already made arrangements to meet with 2 different GIS companies just to see what kind of services they could offer us. And once we work through those details, then we can certainly come back and let you all know if that's our intent. And that would be the process for the department heads that utilize that service. They would just go through that contract company.
But
If,
a few things. of
just, excuse me, Mr. McIntyre, I just ask a question on that. Technical. Right now, there's funding for the GIS coordinator in the budget. If you remove the position from the budget, we haven't determined whether or not we whether we need the position or we need some outside service to do the functions required by that position, either of which would take monies.
Right.
And so until we determine the cost of that, how do you pay for a need if you don't have something funded in terms of the position?
Well, I can tell you that removing that position from the chart does not remove it from the budget.
To take money out of the budget, you have to amend an ordinance. It takes 2 readings. This is just reflecting reality. The position is vacant and there's no current plans to fill it. If at some point there's a plan to fill it, you have a new resolution, 1 vote. But this is not amending the budget. That's an ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I did have a conversation with Councilman McIntosh. And the one thing that I was most concerned with this resolution was the perception of staff in the fact that maybe we don't have confidence in the administrator, or that we don't support them in their current positions and that there's any risk. I want to, from my perspective in our discussion, I don't want to speak for you. This has nothing to do with current staff, with positions, and this has nothing to do with a lack of confidence in our administrator. And I don't want that perception to get out. So I just wanted to state that. That was my largest concern with this, was how staff would perceive this resolution. And through our discussion, all it takes is another resolution to provide you what you need. Do you have any concerns, Madam Administrator, with that?
No, sir, I don't. Again, I guess for me, this feels like it's kind of moot because the positions aren't being filled, and we were going to have a discussion on this at the mid-year budget discussions. But organizationally, this won't have an effect one way or the other.
Well, I just want to state publicly that from my position, you have my confidence, and so does the staff that we currently have in the town. So thank you for that.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think this came about when we were dealing with the budget and we were unsure as to where we were with the budget. And we still got some budgetary problems. And I think the persons who were holding these positions, all 3 of them, I think voluntarily dismissed themselves. And I think it was, in my mind, it was an opportunity to sort of streamline the budget. You could put us in a much better position to deal with what we have to deal with. And I agree with Councilman, Touchberry, that this is not a criticism of the administration. This is something, as I see it, as a way to streamline the budget, have an opportunity to close out these 3 positions and look forward to what we need to do, and be sure that if we decide that we need to fill 1 or 2 or all 3 of these positions, that we would, we'd be notified by the administrator, and she would let us know that, and then we would go ahead and follow her guidelines and open these positions back up. But I'm looking at it as a budgetary thing, saving the town some money. So the main reason I'm in favor of it.
Well, from what Mr. McIntosh said, it's not a budgetary thing. It's a position thing. So we're not talking about the budget, Mr. Brown. We're talking about positions. So, it has nothing to do with the budget, according to what Mr. McIntosh said. I'm saying that, I'm confused because my first 2 years, Mr. McIntosh was very specific about the administrator running the town. And we getting further and further away from that. Now, I trust our administrator. So, we got these positions. And we're gonna approve anything that she asks us to do anyway. So knowing our administrator, like Mr. Russ said down to the right of me, I absolutely trust her. She's not gonna put somebody on without coming to us. And by eliminating these positions, she's gonna come to us anyway. Now, if you just wanna do away with them for a period of time, then we'll vote to do away with them. But I think we're wasting our time. Leave the positions there. If Lisa comes to us and wants to put on something, because I can see, I'll probably be gone. But I'll probably be sitting in the audience when somebody is mayor, and I pray to God Lisa's the administrator, and she needs somebody in economic development or this other position. I worry about the last one that left. We really need that, but we may. But she comes to us, comes to council, and needs this position that we got to turn around and vote and create the position again. I would just leave the positions alone and trust your administrator when she comes back to you and ask, can she hire somebody? I mean, I don't know why we're doing this, but anyway, I'm not going to vote for it, by the way, but y'all do what you want to do.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we all got an email from Madam Administrator telling us that on one of the positions, the GIS coordinator, the plan is to not have an employee do the work, but to go back to what we did before, which was contracting out. And if we spend, if we spend every dime of the former employee's salary contracting out, we still save significant sums on fringe benefits. So, I do trust Ms. Wallace to investigate that, and I trust her judgment that we'll be able to get all the geographic information systems work we need and still save money. That was her email to us. And with the other two positions, she said that she had no present intention to fill the positions, and she was assigning those duties to other employees, which I applaud her for. All the organizational chart does is reflect the reality. It's just a chart. It's a chart that shows who reports to who. That's it. And as Ms. Wallace said, it's a moot point because she has no intention to fill the positions. If that changes, the positions go back on the chart.
Well,
I had my say so.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
You got yours.
At the least, I like I said, I don't think this is an attack on the administrator. I think we all agree that the administrator is doing a good job. And I'm sure if the administrator needs a position filled, she'll come to council. And as you said, the council will probably grant it to her. So I think it's just a change that I see it's good right now because these three positions are vacant. We didn't fire these people, they voluntarily left. And so I think it's an opportunity to manage the budget a little better at this time. And that's all it means to me.
Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? No.
Authorization for town administrator to sign agreement with the Scdot for the transfer of S81259, a portion of Holiday Drive and Milhouse Drive to the town of Somerville.
Make a motion, we approve this authorization, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I may have missed a meeting. We didn't have a public works meeting this month, but if someone can just kind of, I know DOT is looking to transfer as much roads and streets as they possibly can, but can somebody kind of explain what's in it for us?
It's my understanding that this was part of the Nexton interchange agreement. There was an intergovernmental agreement with, between the town and Berkeley County. And this simply fulfills our portion of that agreement. From what I understand, it's about a mile of Holiday Drive that will be taken over by the town. But this is just simply fulfilling that agreement.
And you've seen this agreement?
I have not.
And I don't believe the council has.
This is an agreement from a few years ago. And I can certainly,
I mean, if we're obligated to do it, then I don't want to prolong it. We have a committee process, and it's just, when it showed up on the agenda, I just wasn't sure what it was about.
I guess, GW, have you seen it? Are we required to do this? I did not go back and revisit the intergovernmental agreement and just took it on face value. I'll be glad to go back and look at it right now and find.
And if I could say, I agree, because we didn't have a meeting and our town engineer is not here tonight to give us more information. I would feel more comfortable with us looking at the agreement first, and perhaps we can bring this back up next month.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we postpone vote on this matter until the August meeting of council.
I'll second.
Okay, so that's your motion, Bill.
It is.
Okay, a second. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
For public comment, Linda Wetzel.
I'm 100% sure.
Good afternoon. Linda
Hi.
Wetzel, 108 Atlantic Street. When you see something, you say something. Germantown Road, when it rains, the potholes are forever deep. Nobody fixes them. Front end alignment of your cars. I don't know about how you drive on Germantown Road. Parkwood Drive also. Right before you get to the three-way stop sign, some kind of construction work was done on the highway, and you have got a big old hole that's on that street. So when you, the new subdivision that's on the corner of Shepherd and Parkwood, you've done everything in your power to please that contractor. And our cars are being damaged because of poor roads. And the roads that are poor are in the predominantly black, used to be black neighborhoods. Nobody's fixing it. Germantown Road has been so bad for years, and you still haven't fixed it. Every time it rains, the holes get deeper. I travel over there because I have a sister that lives over there, and I'm in the community that walk around and see what's going on. That's why I say when you see something, you say something. Also, maintenance, people in your neighborhood, they are not, I've reported it to the code enforcement. You have a new house 202, a new owner. That yard used to be immaculate. Mr. Bella used to keep it clean. The new owners haven't cut it. They've got some kind of exotic animals, I don't know what kind, all over the place. The code enforcement officer told me, don't go on the porch. I haven't been over that porch because it's not my property. They got snakes on the porch and an aquarium, and that's not fair. Are there poisonous snakes? How many snakes are there in that house? Galapagos turtles, high turtles in there, getting out of the yard and in the other people's neighborhoods. And also, how many times do you have to call the police department? The other day, I don't think is something funny on my face? I'm over there in my backyard, walking to the end of it to get some construction work done. And there's a woman using the bathroom behind my house. All of a sudden, nobody knows where this Mexican woman was, or she came off the streets. And no way you can come off the street and you're using a bathroom in the daylight, in public. A man, the gentleman who was with me saw me. He was with me and he reported it also, saying that there was a naked woman back there using the bathroom. What's going on behind 818 Central Avenue? The noise in the morning time, 7 o'clock, that's when they come to work, loud music. The construction of all the work that they're doing, back and forth, back and forth. Something's got to be done. And this has been going on since 1999. And you have to deal, I have to deal with this. I have to deal with the noise, the dust, and everything. You're supposed to water down the lot when all these trucks be coming by. The garbage trucks picks up the trash whenever they want to. Loud slams. It's right behind my house. Everybody else's house doesn't hear that. I hear it. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's ridiculous the way that the town or the county has allowed businesses to be in predominantly Black neighborhoods and destroy our way of life. We pay taxes like everybody else does, and we should be respected, and you don't care. Every time I've come here, you laugh at me like I'm stupid, but I'm not. It's ridiculous that somebody got to live like this all the time. And the homeless, what happens to people when they're homeless? A lady came here, she's selling her house. She got 2 children. She can't find a place to live in Somerville because Somerville don't recognize homeless people. She had to go to Orangeburg or Myrtle Beach to find a place to stay. What's wrong with Somerville? You see something, you say something.
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned Germantown Road. I believe that's a state road, isn't it?
It is.
So I've talked to Russ about that, and we've got it on the radar screen to have the state. Most of the roads are owned by the state. We have to call them and wait for them to come and take care of it. But we're aware that that road really needs to be fixed. And,
It's on the program to be paved this year.
right.
Well, you need to include Atlantic Street because you got look like cracks all down the roof, from the beginning to the end.
Atlantic Street is not on that list this year, but Germantown Road is.
Yeah, because I heard you said that your daughter or somebody is moving there and they're living over there and the road's gonna be fixed.
So it's
I don't know anything
that's
about
the
that.
problem we have with most of the roads is that they're controlled by the state, and we have to wait on the state, and the state's got a budget too.
Then why are all the state roads in the Black neighborhoods? You did
Well-
Buford Street. Buford Street was not even, no holes in it. And they resurfaced the whole road. And guess what? 2 new houses got on the board.
But anyway, we're working on the Germantown Road. We expect to get it done this year. Appreciate your comments.
Mr. Mayor, I do not have anybody else signed up for public comment.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion, we go into executive session to discuss contractual matter related to school resource officer agreement between town of Somerville and Dorchester District 2, and receive legal advice and discuss contractual matters regarding the sale of Woodlands Barn and Cottage owned by the town.
Second that, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor of this, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye. Aye. Opposed likewise, ayes carried.